it's the beginning of summer. We've got a lot of stuff going on. As far as reopening and everything like that, I've been happy to see a lot more activity from sales activity from you all. Been pretty exciting and a change of activity, which has been happening recently. So I'm happy to see everyone's getting a lot more busier. So just a quick reminder, and if we are going to be reopening, we always have to keep in mind the rising COVID cases that's going on, not only California-wide, but nationally as well. In California alone, and this is reported as of yesterday, we have 336,500 cases. It's an increase of 7,300, and that's on a daily basis, not just like a week or an annual sum. I'm not going to go into too much of this, but I'm telling you, I looked at the curve. I looked at the R curve, which is kind of recording the effective new contracted diseases and how it's spreading. And you want this to be at 1 or below. But if you can see here in this slide that I pulled from the LA Department of County Department of Health, the actual numbers, when you take all these variables and different tracking systems, is showing an R naught of over 1.1, and that is in a danger zone. That is classifying California as and Los Angeles County as a high risk area. So always, please do everything you can to stop spreading the curve. There is some reports that wearing face masks are effective in helping you not contract the disease. It's we have to do everything we can to keep ourselves, our co-workers, and obviously your family at home. Please do your best to yourself.
No longer for sale. No longer for sale, right? So
Sophie, I'm gonna mute you, okay? So when you go ahead and go out in public, or when you're with business meeting clients, go ahead and use a face mask. Company-wide, we're trying to help our agents. So we have a one face mask as a gift to you if you want to stop and pick it up. Otherwise, if you do like it, it's $5 per mask. Just promoting this again, because some of you haven't gotten yours. So I want to talk about a couple of new agents who's recently joined us. I want to give a warm welcome to Christopher Song, who has joined us this past week. I'm excited to share that Jackson Wong is back, and he returned back to us. So happy to see you, Jackson. Welcome back. Nazanin Savavi also just joined us. Give her a warm welcome. She joined us over here at the Arcadia office. And we have another young, bright dude. His name is Clinton Chung. I just met him the other day. He's coming with a listing in Pasadena in Kinaloa Park area. And Clinton is a bright, intelligent risk analyst. I've got a lot to meet him and his family, and I'm excited to get him on board, trained, and developed. So excited to see you, Clinton, join us. And I met with Jin Ping this past week. Jin's a bright lady, young and intelligent. I'd love to meet her. Thank you for the referral and introducing Jin to the company. We're excited to get her back into business. So it comes at a crossroads, and we're trying to go ahead and decide whether you're going to be part-time or full-time. There's a lot of you guys always considering about real estate and how much should I invest in my business and how much should I dedicate my time. And it's really focused on dependent on your situation. I can't tell you the straight answer. The benefit of being in a real estate business is you could be part-time. But if you are going to be trying to make this a career, I suggest you learn how to do this full-time, learn how to really improve on your sales skills, really learn how to understand how to solve problems, how to be a better speaker and presenter, a stronger professional in your forms and contracts, and then you can add a lot of value to your clients. So, I just leave that as a thought for you. In regards to Coldwell Banker University, I just want to remind you, if you want to improve your skills, you want to improve about a little bit about strategies and how to generate more leads, how to conduct more business and make yourself more productive, take some of these courses, okay? They're all free. They're all in here for your benefit. at your disposal. You could choose your own time slot, and just a reminder for that. So I had restarted our agent development training this past week. It's been very, very effective, a way for me to teach a lot of you while staying and practicing social distancing. We could all learn while we're at home. And I loved the last meeting. It was very, very effective in yesterday's topic. We talked about pricing a income property. What are the issues when dealing with the rental? What are the red flags that we need to worry about? What are the areas that we can kind of ask some appropriate questions? And yesterday I told everyone how to price, for me, it was a three unit property. And how did we make an analysis using a sales comparison approach, as well as using the income approach. And when I started putting the models together, I brought out our financial calculator. It was very easy to plug in some numbers, question some of the expenses, and I hope everyone got a good value out of yesterday's lesson. I loved having, and thank you for being with me. We're going to continue to do this every single Tuesday. I'll be in front of you teaching you a new topic on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Don't worry if you can't make it to any of the Tuesday sessions, or if you happen to miss a Wednesday sales meeting. I will be recording these videos. You probably got a pop-up on your screen that these videos are recorded. So it's just a reminder to you that it will be posted on my YouTube page. So if you don't want to see yourself or whatnot, you can always type in questions or mute yourself or put in your video off. So I also record the sales meetings every Wednesday. A lot of you, 14 of us, already joined today at the sales meeting. Last week we had over 35, and I look forward to continuing to be in front of you. The Wednesday sales meeting is the opportunity I have to share with you announcements, news, broker updates, legal updates, and share our new listings, and for an opportunity for you to learn as well, ask questions to me. So if you want to join us, there's a lot of opportunity for now for you to get in front of us and really just learn, okay? Be up to date. That's how we're going to improve ourselves as professionals. I have to remind you, and this is going to be on many slides in the future. I'm just going to always have that the brokerage has a prevention plan in place. It's very similar to what you're going to be doing when you're going out and showing property. My policy for all agents who want to come into our offices in Arcadia and Temple City is simply just to, wash your hands when you come in, wear a face mask, practice social distancing with others, and try not avoiding touches, or you may wear a glove if you want to. So you can go ahead and read the brokerage COVID-19 prevention plan. If I click into this, it does bring me into my Google Drive, but you guys already have all that resources already. So I'm not going to show you the brokerage program plan. I showed that to you last week and explained everything in detail, as long as with the mandatory training. Please refer to last week's July 8th training, and you can see all that materials there. It is mandatory for all agents and staff to have followed and listened to that video. This is a similar form you will see at the properties at the entry. Just want to remind you what you're supposed to be doing, because you're going to see this often if you're going to show property. And it brings me now into a little bit of education about a case study. It just occurred to me this past week. I had to get a question from a listing agent, and this person asked me, well, they had a lease listing with a single family home. After 10 days of multiple showings, a lot of applications and questions, they had 6 right now that they wanted to present to the landlord. 3 of these candidates appeared to be high income, high FICO, strong applicants. They had full docs and they were recommended by the agent. Hey, take your pick. And landlord reviews all the applicants very carefully. They seem to be very meticulous, very over questioning some issues. So they respond to the listing agent and ask him, they have any children? Is she divorced? What is the business income like for this individual? Can you provide us a tax return of the applicant? Can the tenant source this 20,000 deposit I see in their bank statement? How come they got so much money right now? Do they plan to conduct business or meet clients inside the home? What language do they speak? Can I see a copy of their ID with the photo? How come their residence history keeps changing often? Are they able to prepay 6 months rent? Can you have them write me an additional letter about their background and explain, why they want to rent over here in this area? And I didn't write the responses here because there's just so many things. All I can write, honestly, is wow. The brokerage standpoint, DRE, federal fair housing laws, there's a lot to take into some of these questions. Some of these are valid, some of these are not. I threw all these out there because these are real questions. And you as an agent, whether if you're leasing a property or whatnot, they're gonna ask you quite a bit of questions that are okay or valid, are technically labeled as discriminatory, 3 borderline gray area types of questions. And I wanted to kind of spend some time to understand what is our responsibility and duties. What do we do? Yes, we're supposed to follow our client's instruction. However, we're not supposed to violate federal fair housing discriminatory laws. So fair housing, we cover this every single time we renew our license, or if you apply for the license. I'm sure you're already familiar with fair housing laws. I'm gonna do a quick study reference for a reminder, but I'm gonna give you some strategies how to handle the situation. Does anyone have any suggestions how you would handle these kind of questions? So if this was you and you're sitting here, you don't have time to reference what's a federal housing violation discriminatory question or not. So that's why you're here learning up front. And when you ask that question, you're put on the spotlight. It's how do you react? How do they hit a trigger point? Do you instantly get alarmed or a red flag in your mind? I hope you do. So for what how I would handle this situation if I was asked this question from a landlord, I would, take it question by question and say, hey, landlord, do you mind, that's a lot of questions. I really, I can't go through all of this. Can you put your questions down to me that you're interested or concerned about from the applicants based on their application? Can you write it down and then I'll respond back to you what I can. Then I'll take the questions in writing, okay? First of all, I put in an evidenced and documented their questions in writing that I'm not discriminating against the tenant. These seems to be questions from the landlord. Realtors are required to follow FHA guidelines, and we have code of ethics. We have a lot of DRE rules, and individuals, owners, technically don't have so many restrictions. Can people be racist? Honestly, people can, but they shouldn't be doing that in fair housing. So if they're being landlords, they are still violating fair housing laws. So I'll bring those up. But after they respond in writing, I'm going to kind of decipher what are the questions that I can answer or not. I would probably respond something like this. I can ask questions about the application, but there's a reason. Let me first explain, landlord, why we take a standardized application. I use the CAR approved, legal attorney approved application to rent, which asks the basic standardized questions that a typical landlord will ask a tenant. And these have been already pre-screened questions that do not violate fair housing laws. They provided you additional information like their bank statements or letters of introduction
Kelvin, your line is mute. We cannot hear you. Kelvin.
You're
Kelvin, your
frozen. Oh, he came out. He gonna come back in.
cannot hear. Anybody can hear the voice? No sound at all.
Yes, I'm pretty sure Kevin is gonna rejoin the meeting. He probably just have to reboot his computer.
So what should we do? We just waiting, or we have to sign again, join again?
No, we just wait here. He'll re-enter the meeting. He done
Okay.
this before. He re-entered.
Okay. Thank you. Huh?
Hi guys, sorry, unfortunately I lost my Wi-Fi for a minute. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I apologize. I somehow got disconnected to the internet. So the last thing I was talking about was this slide here regarding what would I respond to a landlord. And I said, instantly just apologize and say, sorry, landlord, there's some of these questions I cannot answer due to fair housing discrimination laws. And normally what I would do is I would go ahead and put together the
Calvin, can you share your screen again, please?
Sure. Okay, so I would review the protected classes of what's considered discrimination, and there's quite a bit of areas that are considered fair housing violations. And so I'm going to go ahead and try to pull up for you the fair housing discrimination laws. I'm going to have to change screens. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen on. Do you guys see the CAR website right now?
No, not yet.
Okay, thank you. When I bring up the California fair housing laws, and there's national and federal and state laws, we are not able to discriminate based on these kind of areas here. It's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. But there's a lot more, okay? Various what's called acts throughout the years have expanded discrimination laws to other called classes of people. And in California, that includes in all housing and public accommodation types of sectors, such as landlords and property managers and real estate agents. So we are all following and these kind of laws. We cannot base on age, ancestry, color, disability now, national origin, race, religion, sex, sexual preferences or orientation. And it also includes like handicap and all these different types of needs for various types of people. So once we understand, we can dissect some of these questions, and that is why we use a standardized application all the time. That is why you as a land listing agent always use the same protocols that is consistent with every single application. So my recommendation to you, if you're going to be doing a leasing of a property or whatnot, always have what's called a standardized process. So here's what I recommend to you to do is, one, in your agent remarks to the public or to the agents, have a supplement saying, here's what I want in my file if you want to apply for this home, and have a steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so if you were going to go ahead and take applications, I'm going to ask you to maybe just go ahead and write here. Here's a copy of your credit report, or apply at, for example, CAR's recommendation is to use rentspree.com. So you go, number one, apply for your credit and provide it through rentspree.com and send in your application. Number two, send in the CAR application form for every adult over the age of 18. Number three, please provide us a copy of your driver license or government ID. And you can ask for things like certain income documents or financials to supporting evidence that they optionally wish to provide. They can optionally write you any letter or any explanation about what is considered anything they want to share with the landlord that will supplement their application. So these are ideas, and it's the same consistent process, same email that you're going to ask and what you're requesting for when a tenant reaches out to you. So you send them the same email to every single person. You have proven to be given consistent types of screening. Okay, that will get you out of so much liability. I don't know if you guys can see on the screen, but I got my baby Brady on catch. She's sharing her screen. So he's joining us on the meeting too. Say hi to Brady. And when you're out there and when you're out in the field, it's so difficult because you're going to get, you wonder if typically right now you're getting 20 different types of applications at the same time, or tenants that are questioning you, when are they going to respond? So that's why you put together the same email. Oh, hi applicant, here's my information, here's the contact if you want to apply, and then you just give them the same consistent email it makes your job easy and you're practicing the right way. Any questions about screening an applicant? Any questions about fair housing or issues or questions that you've suffered or experienced in your business? I'd love to share and hear from your experiences if you had any trouble landlords or trouble tenants. Because I'm only explaining to you one side of the story. As we know, there's two sides of the coin. The landlord has all these screening questions because obviously they're looking out for their own property. But the other side of the coin, when you flip it, there's a lot of liability that occurs from the tenant side, because when you have 10 or 20 applications to your lease, that means only one person is accepted, 19 people are angry, 19 people are disappointed. Out of that 19, there could be 1, 2, or 3 that felt, not saying you did it, that felt that they were discriminated against. And oh, maybe it's because of my race or ethnicity or language or income level. I don't know what it is, but there is a possibility that if you have 10, 20 applications, 10, 20% might be disappointed to the point where they're going to create and raise some flags, cause some questions, or ultimately they might potentially call fair housing and report you. I hope that doesn't happen. It has happened to an agent that I know of. I helped them fight fair housing laws, and I proved to them that we had a good system. Luckily, that system, that agent had documentation. I was able to support it. I wrote a letter with them, and we were excused from or it was basically the charges were all dropped. I don't want to have to fight this again. I don't want to see you put in that position and you're going to have to go to in front of a judge, jury, and a panel to explain and defend your case, why you were trying to rent out a property to one applicant versus another, explain something that happened 1 year ago, and provide all your evidence, waste all your time. You know, and your income for that was not that high. Okay, you probably earned $1,000, $1,500 maybe. Okay, so it's not worth it. Have a standard screening process. No questions. I'm surprised. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump to the next section. I'm going to go back to screen share. And in this case, I'm going to move over to the next section of the training, which is about landlord-tenant issues. Okay, not screening issues. This is when you already have a lease agreement in place. Tenants already took possession of the property and they may or may not be paying rent. Okay, let me ask a poll really quick, and then there's gonna be a pop-up question. I'm playing around with, has anyone had any landlords that have, or any properties that you've had that have not paid your rent or not current on your rents? Surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, I know there
Yeah,
has to be.
not pay. Yeah,
There are
not pay for
many
3
people
months.
of our clients. Steve, so how, you know, do you have, what are the questions that the landlord's asking you or the tenant's asking you?
Oh, they said they couldn't pay it. That's all.
Okay, in writing
Because
or
of the-
verbally?
verbally, they not willing to do any writing, but just by verbal only, they don't pay.
Okay. Do they say, okay, so what do you say back? What is the, do you say, okay, well, you know, what's your response like?
Oh, because I just told them that this you will have to pay back anyway, but they say, yeah, they will. But once they have money, that's all. And
Okay.
I understand that for the, we cannot do any eviction right now. That's all I know.
Yes, correct. And that's what I wanted to hear from you. And you finally, boom, you put it in there. There is a local, state, and federal eviction moratorium that's in place right now. And that moratorium is basically protecting all tenants not only in California, but nationwide during this COVID emergency crisis period. Okay, So I'm happy you did that. I'm going to talk about some solutions for you, but first let's talk about what the problems are. Obviously, some people are not paying rent or partial rent. Okay. In that instances, the landlord is not getting paid their monthly income. And I'm going to tell you, the tenants think they don't have to pay this rent. Some of them are confused about the moratorium. So that's why maybe it's good to clarify or send them something in writing that they can read. Because some people go, oh, my cousin or my neighbor, they're not paying their rent. Or the apartment number 234, which is my neighbor, they stopped paying their landlord. So I'm going to not pay my landlord. Okay. And they think they can get away with it, or they can think they can this and that. And I'm going to tell you, all of the rent that has not been paid is not necessarily forgiven. It is not just disappear and say, oh, this debt is clear. That is not what the eviction moratorium is protecting. It is just protecting them from not being evicted. Okay. Eventually, this moratorium will lift. It will expire. The rent is still due unless there is an agreement or payment plan that is agreed upon by both of the landlord and the tenant, signed. Okay, they estimate right now 19% of California tenants are somewhat delinquent in their rents, whether partial payments or no payments at all. That's a lot of tenants out there, almost 1 in 5. So that's why I'm surprised only one person kind of had know someone that had a stop did not have tenants that paid. But during this emergency period, landlords need to cooperate with their tenants. Landlords need, this is mandated, cooperate by not evicting them or giving them a notice to vacate now. That's what cooperation means. It means give them some flexibility, go ahead and work out a payment deferral, work out or negotiate temporary rent reductions or relief, or put them on a payment plan, which some people have done. So some examples of this, okay? Payment deferrals means, okay, you haven't paid me for March and April. Can you pay me, within, no more, can you keep putting as much as you can towards the payments? I'll put together every single month a little spreadsheet of what you have paid since COVID and what you have, what is deferred or still owed. You should not charge a late fee. You should not be raising your rents by a significant amount during this period of time, during this protected period. You can also negotiate temporary rent relief. So an example of that is, okay, tenant, you told me you had some financial issues, you were affected or impacted by COVID and had your hours reduced. How about this? If you can pay me, up to date, from March till today, July, by July, by the end of the month, I will give you a benefit that I will give you, let's say, a 10 or 20% rent reduction for the months of March through July, or months through this and that. So some landlords are being very helpful. And that's that means that you're going to forgive all the rent or 20% of the rent if they pay you in full today by a deadline. Some people will risk the pros versus the cons and say, sure, I'll take the small hit of 20%. I'm a nice landlord. They've been great tenants to me for 5, 6, 10 years. I'll help them out for this period. Some landlords have been doing that. Okay. So, but they also give a deadline and they ask for full payment to get current in order to exercise that rent relief. Okay. That's a suggestion for some of you landlords, or if you have landlords you know. Or you work out a payment plan. So certain payment plans are people who are hourly or non-consistent work. Maybe they want to keep paying, but they are struggling, they're paycheck to paycheck. Well, then give them a payment plan and say, sure, you don't have to pay me all the rent on the first of the month. You could pay me, once a week if you like to. And so you just pay me, divided by 4, and just give them like some deadlines, or twice a month, or, just take what you can. Okay. If you get deferred, and just say, I'll just go ahead and tack it on, and hopefully later on you get some more work and get busy, or you can pay me back later. You could, document your not record your conversations, document things in writing. Okay. Anytime you record someone, you have to ask permission. If you're going to ask for a recording, whether it's video or just audio alone, you have to give a disclaimer that this is going to be recorded. So sometimes it becomes too confrontational when I record. That's why I like to do everything in writing, have them email me or send me this and that, and put the request in. Sometimes I ask the tenant, well, I'm just representing the landlord. I'm just trying to help him, communicate with you. Tenant, what do you propose? What would you like during this COVID period? And I ask them, what is, sometimes they'll come up with a proposal. Okay. Lastly, my last suggestion, if you're dealing with these tenants, is to send them a form. I will share that in my meetings summary later on, but there is a form saying by car, if they're impacted by COVID, here's a valid reason why. And it kind of just documents that it documents that what is the reason why they are impacted by COVID. But secondly, it tells them that the rent is not excused. The rent is still due, and it's just during this COVID period. So when you're a landlord representative, go ahead and check local, state, and federal moratoriums. They all have conflicting and different protections in place. So for example, one of them is the city of Los Angeles. Do you guys see, let me make sure. All right, I'm bringing up the website now. So if you have a property, do you guys see here this LA housing community website?
Yes.
Great. So LA, city of LA, not county, city of LA put together a comprehensive renter protection. And this was adopted not too far ago, a few months ago. And what they put together is a bunch of questions. So if you have units, multifamily, or any houses in the city of Los Angeles, they have some programs available. For example, no owner can evict any tenant for non-payment of rent. If you read right here, if they have a valid circumstance related to COVID-19, the valid circumstances, and this is kind of statewide too, loss of income due to childcare or school closures, healthcare expenditures have increased because someone in their household has COVID, different type of stuff like that. What I also want to point out is to you is there's also no fault evictions are not allowed either. No fault means the tenant is perfect, abides by the rules, everything is on time. You still can't just evict somebody at no fault just because the owner wants to sell the home, just because the owner wants to remodel or demolish and tear down. Those no fault evictions are not allowed right now. Or even if I want to occupy my own house for my primary residence, I can't do that during this emergency period. In this city of LA, what this allows is property owner for 12 months after the expiration of the local emergency period, then they can finally have what's protections notice, which kind of gives them that time and the window to get current on their rent. You can't evict based on unauthorized occupants that were not listed in your tenant application or contract, or for pets or nuisances as well. So they could be doing 20 different relatives coming over and 10 different pets, or they're creating a nuisance with even police reports, and you can't evict them for that either. So this is very, very protective to the tenants. And, all I can say is, this won't last forever. They're protected now, but these bad tenants or who don't have the ability to pay, these are going to be something that we're going to have to learn how to deal with more and more. Okay, they still have to lawfully pay back their rent, but they'll have right here up to 12 months following expiration of the local emergency to pay back. So 12 months is a lot of time to get back current. Okay. Now the cool thing is there is rental assistance available for renters who cannot pay their rent. On my next slide, I'll show you that resource if they happen to be in the city of Los Angeles. You can't give them a notice to quit at this time, unfortunately. You could give them some information and points. I'm not going to go over all of this, but there is so much resources available to you. Send these websites to your landlords. If whatever website or whatever city they belong to, make sure they're aware of their local laws. That's very, very important. So I'm going to go back to my meeting slides. And in CAR's website, they put together a nice little local, state, and federal moratorium. I'm going to bring that on screen right now. So hopefully you guys can see this here. And this was last updated May 31st by CAR. There are different types of what's called orders, and they put the link of the language in this section here. This is the city, county, or local area we're talking about. This is when it expires or terminates those orders, how much time the tenant needs to give notice, how much time it needs to give proof to the landlord, how much time they have to repay if applicable, and any additional information that I believe is, they believe is important. And this applies to residential, yes. Federal, it does not apply to commercial. That is how you read this table. So if you see this here, and I go down, California has a renter's protection in place that was by Governor Newsom. And in this document, you can read in here, the statewide eviction moratorium ends, I believe, July 28th, okay, in California. This is statewide, okay? So we just have another 2 weeks to go suffer through this period. And as long as they do not extend this moratorium, California speaking, it's possible maybe that you can start sending those notices to vacate, notice of rent due, and various kind of things. But we have to wait and see because they might extend it. And then you look at different things like city-wide, because every city may have a more restrictive type of policy. Alhambra's listed over here. You have Arcadia, they expired on May 17th. Alhambra was May 31st. And if I go down to cities, there's a lot of different cities have put a local protection in as well. I'm not gonna go through every single link. I just wanted to point to you that it's there. I uploaded it into our Google Drive. You can send it to the landlord for your easy reference. And this is the city of LA one as well. And there's even one for Temple City. However, I know though, because it's already expired, I think the city is taking it down, okay? So go ahead and refer to this. And it's probably better you go to their own website because that was not updated since last May 31st. All right, heading back into the slides.
不可啊，这个是 mute， 听不见。
Is there any questions?
mute 听不见，这个不需要你的 folder， so 它听不见。这是
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna quickly just remind you, if you don't know the answer, refer the client to a real estate attorney and or an eviction specialist, because you may not be up to date with every single area and city. So if they really have these issues with their tenants, why put yourself in the middle of this? You're not a property manager. You don't want to be in the middle of communicating with these tenants.
有些
It's
人
not
呢
It's not good
是来
practice.
来叫你做
Hey,
事，
Kevin, I have one question.
Yeah,
Yesterday,
Julia.
I just met the landlord, and the landlord actually just worry about the tenants will not pay in the future. That is the biggest worry. So she asked if you can help if they don't pay. So I said I can help you to connect with the
Yeah.
big company, and
I want to look at that.
and I asked.
Oh. Julia, I accidentally muted you. I was trying to mute Gina. Julia, can you unmute yourself again?
Oh, yes. My question is, the landlord asked me if the tenants will not pay in the future. So can I help them to deal with this stuff? And I said, yes, I can, but I cannot do anything to eviction. So I can help you to contact some eviction company to do this.
Okay, well, that brings me to a great point in my discussion. Thanks for that question. Okay, so Julia is a leasing agent, listing agent for a rental. And this landlord, I guess, asked you, if the tenant doesn't pay, if the tenant has issues or questions, can you still help communicate or help me, talk and discuss and negotiate with the tenant? And Julia responded, yes. Obviously, as realtors and agents who probably put the tenant in place, we might have already built a relationship. It's very easy for us to kind of try to help because we want to build a relationship with the landlord, and hopefully this landlord thanks us or remembers us for being and hopefully managing the property well. But my answer to you as a broker is a couple of things that I have to remind you. Firstly, your duties as an agent ends the moment you've completed the lease contract, collected the security deposits, delivered everything, did the MIMO inspection, all the paperwork's been shared. That's when your duty has ended, when they consummate and begin that lease. So your agency relationship and duties have ended at that point. And then 5 months passes and something happens, the landlord contacts you to communicate with the tenant or try to get their payments, ask what's going on. The issue that I have as a broker is then when you step in later on to deal with issues or deal with requests, deal with payments, you begin to open yourself up as what's considered to be a property manager. Whether or not you have a contract with the landlord for property manager, or most people don't even have a contract, they simply just have a verbal, can you go talk to them and help me with this issue? Okay, regardless of whether you are written or unwritten, the act of opening up a dialogue, communicating to the tenant, requesting for payment, working out a payment plan, and or just being the intermediary, you are now considered to be a property manager from the eyes of the tenant.
Mhm.
They don't know what agreements you have or have not signed. They don't know if you're getting paid for this or not. And most of the time, many agents are stepping into a property manager role without even any compensation. So my ask or my response to you would be to respond, unfortunately, no, I do not do property management, landlord. That is not something that I specialize in. I know how to lease a property out. I know the contracts, but I have not been trained in property management law and rules. And they've changed so much in 2019 in the Tenant Protection Act that I'm not up to date and current and qualified to be your property manager. I prefer you refer your or work with and hire a property manager to help you manage the property and deal with the tenants who is an expert in that area. If you need me to sell the property in the future, that's where I'm great at. I'll help you sell it, I'll help you lease it, but I'm not there to manage. So Julia, that's my answer to you. Okay. No ifs, questions, or buts.
So answer should be no, I cannot help you for the future, the payment. Is that right?
Yes. That is, I would say that is not my specialty.
Okay.
Property management.
My goodness.
So
I have to correct.
and I have a solution too.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and and I have a bunch of property managers that will do it. So let them get into a property manager who will help them,
Mhm.
you know, manage that property and stay in compliance. And they are kind of, it's a shield from all of these complaints that these problematic tenant might have, be giving them in the future.
Okay.
So if the first 3 months or 4 months is fine, nothing, real problems, and then the 5th month, they start to see that there's some trouble of the tenant is being problematic, they can hire the property manager later. They can try to self-manage for the time being, then hire the manager later.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's just my suggestion. Okay.
Okay.
Because
Good.
I do have a couple of agents who are trained in property management. They do have qualified experience and they do have qualified credentials, but they're not doing any property management under the company because everyone knows our company, we do not do any property management. We do not want any payments or checks to be sent here. We don't want any property management meetings to be held here. We don't want any notices to be delivered to the office. And those agents are all doing their own broker trust logs. They are all doing their own, they're getting their own contracts signed with their landlord that Coldwell Banker Dynasty is not involved in the management that the agent and the landlord have signed. So it's excluding us from that liability and the responsibility. But you as the agents who are having that qualified experience are not including us in the income. So if you're going to take that risk, you're going to take that liability, you need to sign an agreement with the company. And I need to have that in writing with you. Okay, talk to me if you're doing this.
Okay.
Any questions, Julia or anyone else?
Very important.
If you do hear feedback, mute yourself. If you do want to ask the question, unmute yourself. So I told you there's some programs. The eviction moratorium for governor for the state, they have extended this to September 30th. I read this somewhere on the California, one of their websites. So the Federal CARES Act, however, expires on July 25th. So everything is conflicting, but I'm going to tell you, if we're in California and the state says September 30th, we're going to have to follow September 30th, even though the rest of the states might be following July 25th. Apparently, California is a high-risk area, a high tenant state, and they're giving these tenants some help and assistance and support by law. But they do allow landlords some ways to get some solutions. A landlord can file an unlawful detainer as a potential solution against this, for example, this tenant who has drug activity or illegal activity at the property. They might be being a nuisance to neighbors or to whatnot. They could be having unlawful detainer recorded for having 20 dogs and there's complaints and it's angry and loud. There could be so anyway, this is a resource. So once you document and you built a file against this tenant, finally when the eviction courts open, this will be a slam dunk case and your tenant will be out of there as soon as the courts will hear your meeting. But you're not going to get any hearings. I don't think you're going to hear anything before September 30th. So it's unfortunate for those landlords. There's another resource I'm going to tell you is landlords do have the ability, if they're getting no income from their tenants, they can always apply for an economic injury disaster loan. And that will help them with their mortgage obligations or do the upkeep, maintenance. And yes, there is a loan that you're going to have to repay back with a 3.75% interest from SBA, the Small Business Administration. However, there's this other case where this loan, they might finally get repaid by their tenant too in the near future. So that's something to consider. But you know, there's not many solutions for a landlord, but for tenants there are. Just a reminder, it only applies to residential units. No questions or any questions? If not, this is the City of LA program for tenants who are eligible and they have what's called income that is below 80% of the average median income for the area. They will get some assistance and money from this grant. So the City of LA dedicated $103 million to provide rent subsidies to renters impacted by COVID and to assist these people who are eligible under these criteria. If your family, let's say, is 3 persons, your income limit is less than $75,150, you can apply and be eligible to get some rent subsidies. That is a great thing for some of these tenants, and they can use it to go ahead and pay out the landlord and get themselves some government help. If you want more information, go ahead and check here. This is not county-wide, this is LA City, just a reminder. Okay, next slide. I talked about this last week. I'm not going to cover it again. I just wanted to remind it, and sometimes some agents did not see last week's sales meeting. If you didn't and you missed it, I gave a great little instruction on what buyer's agents should be doing, as well as what seller agents should be doing. If you want to review these great questions and answers that I had a discussion on, go to July 8th last meeting, and you'll be able to see and see the recorded video. I also have a lot of resources that are updated in the drive, so you can always click that link and go to the Dynasty Agent Resources Center. So please like our Facebook page. Our traction is building on our YouTube page as well. Here's our listings of the week, and I want to congratulate a few people who've been working. Henry Liu, are you here with us? We got 1618 Mayflower Avenue, Arcadia, for sale. It's a lovely, huge lot of 14,680. Looks for 1.3 million, roughly. It's almost 2,000 square feet. Amy, Henry, anyone want to share any or pitch anything about it? Otherwise, this is north of Longden Avenue, borderline Arcadia Schools. And go ahead and check it out because the lot size is huge. There's probably a lot of potential to add on or do an ADU. Henry's also got another listing on Mayflower nearby. This is 1718 Mayflower, different house at different price. So he's been hitting up this block. I'm happy to hear, Henry. Hopefully you're not door knocking in the COVID period because you probably, I don't think people want you to open doors. But 1718 Mayflower, it's $899,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It's a 10,828 square foot lot. That's also a huge lot for $900,000. Talk to Henry if you have any questions. And I'll move to the next one. On First Avenue, Henry has, and a reminder, his First Avenue listing is next to First Avenue Middle School. This is actually Dana Middle School, I'm sorry. And this one is 3.733 million, recently built in 2013, 5 bedrooms, 6 baths on a huge 21,000 lot. This is a magnificent custom home with all the luxuries and high finish materials inside. Beautiful photos. Hope you get that sold. Margaret, are you here? I want to pitch your 2904 Military Avenue listing. This is near West LA on the 10 and the 405. You can see it's kind of near Sepulveda, Sawtelle, and National Boulevard as the cross streets. We got 5 bedrooms, 4 baths, 6,000 square feet. Year built is 2018. It's a very new listing. They're asking only 2.4 million. And talk to her if you have any questions or clients for this. That's honestly pretty low because West Side LA usually is over 1,000 per square foot. Laura, are you here with us? You want to talk about your listing on Ardendale Avenue, Temple City? If not, I'll pitch her listing 9167 Ardendale. Great location here in Temple City. 5 bedrooms, 5 baths, 3,400 square feet. And this is priced at 1.6 million. If you have a client for this, it's not too bad. If you divide a price per square foot for something that's built in 2013, you got a 3-car garage. You got a lot of nice details and design in terms of quality design. I like it. Talk to Laura if you have someone for that or you want to show. I have a listing coming up. I just signed this one yesterday. This is a new income property listing, 100% occupied. 419 Nicholson Avenue, Monterey Park. This is going live in the MLS today. So I am able to promote this property. Asking only $985,000 for a duplex and a guest unit. Total income is $4,150 per month. We priced this around a 4% cap rate. It's built in 2005. It is approximately 2,500 plus square feet and a decent location just south of the 10 freeway. So if you have anyone looking for a good income potential property, this is not there's pretty much no maintenance needed right now. It is in great shape, nice tiled roof and recessed lighting, newer floors in great shape. I have interior photos as well, and all the tenants are current and managed well. So they're all long-term and they're happy. There is potential to increase the rents if you'd like to. So talk to me if you have an investor who wants this. 5941 Encinita Avenue, Temple City is a lovely 4-bedroom, 2-bath listed by Michael Dang. Are you here, Michael? You want to share anything?
王芳，你说，可以，你说吧。
If your Michael Dang has 2 units on this property, so it's almost 2,000 square foot, just like mine. This is asking 1.038 million in the MLS. So if you have any clients looking for a duplex in Temple City, this is Temple City Schools. You have an opportunity to go ahead and maybe redevelop or do some nice extensive remodeling. Michael prices his homes the right, so I trust that he will get this one sold quickly. Talk to Michael if you have that one. Got a couple of closings. We have congratulations to Peter Wu. He closed on 10/8/21 Delicious Lane. And that's a great street name. I never heard that one before in Cherry Valley, but it's very delicious and appetizing to see you get a closing check. Time to go out, treat yourself to a nice dinner. We had a couple other closings. I did not put them in the slides because I didn't have time, but I'll share them in next week. Did anyone else have any listings that we did not include or want to share or promote any price reductions or coming soons? Nobody has anything to share? I'll go ahead and move on.
Kelvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Jean, and I would like to ask, do you have information for the rent control, where we can look it up for that, like the percentage and the city, which one is under this regulation? Oh
yeah, I do. Great question.
Yeah.
Do you mind? I I can try to dig for it, and it'll take me a minute. Does
Sure.
anyone have any other questions? I can take other questions too. Okay, so I'm gonna
And I
share my
just want to
screen
give
to my
some
Gmail.
information to like the Riverside, the government also have the rent help out on the Riverside tenants. Yeah, if you have a tenant in Riverside, tell them to go to the web and look it up. Yeah, that's one of my clients' tenant and telling me. Yes.
Yeah, it's many counties are having their own modified tenant protection acts and eviction clauses, so it's all over. Yes, I do have resources. Okay, I'm gonna screen. Let me see. You guys are with me on my email, yes? Okay.
So are you going to email to us or you put on the share Google Share?
I already emailed this to you in September 2019.
Oh,
With the
September
announcement
2000.
of California lawmakers of 1482, Assembly Bill 1482, Governor
Okay.
Newsom signed this bill. And so this is the legal updates that are very important. I shared the update here in this video.
Yeah.
This is, so you can click that link.
Would you mind to email one more time? Because sometimes so many, so I probably already deleted.
Okay, this is the detailed language. And sure, I'll forward this again to you, Gene, if anyone else want this.
Thank you, Kevin.
You can send to me.
I'll do that a little bit later. There is other resources I sent out too. This is not the only time. Any other questions? Otherwise, that's nearing the end of the meeting. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint real quick. If you have any questions about your login to cbexchange.com, go ahead and call or take this number down. You can that can help you directly during normal business hours. Please support our Dynasty Cares Fund if you have any for unexpected emergencies. And I am going to remind you that our sales meetings and keys to success trainings like Tuesday are recorded. So if you missed it a week, you missed the training, I totally understand. We all have our lives and families to take care of and different clients to meet. So if you ever want to come back or remind yourself about a certain particular topic or training, I am hosting these under my YouTube channel, and I have these links here as well. I'll be putting these slides up in the drive as well. So you can see here, yesterday I had the training. This was last week's meeting regarding our mandatory compliance training. So go ahead and take a look and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want the latest updates and videos that I put together. My content is not, it's not really to build myself or channel. My content, I'm just building this video just for you guys, so you guys can go back and view it. So hopefully you have a chance to go back. Any other questions before we conclude today's meeting, everyone? Well, with that, I wish you all a great week. It's the mid of July. This is still the peak season of real estate. There's a lot of activity, a lot of buyer activity as well. A lot of potential landlords and sellers concerned about next year's dip, potential recession. So I'd say and recommend all of you to continue to go out and talk real estate to everybody. Be out there, promote yourself, talk real estate, and people hopefully will remember you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.